Iraq versus the U.S. Here in America, we are guaranteed our rights by the Constitution, and there's very little corruption in our government. But what if you lived in a country where the government is corrupted and you're denied all your rights? In the U.S., I don't think we realize how lucky we are to live in a country where you're guaranteed all your freedoms and you can pretty much live your life the way you want to. Through my research of Iraq, I will compare it to the U.S. based on human rights and infrastructure. First, we'll take a look at human rights. Detainees. Security forces abuse detainees, and they experience prolonged detentions without a judicial hearing, and they are tortured during interrogations. The police also carry out mass arrests without warrants. Freedom of assembly is almost non-existent. Security forces respond to peaceful protests with violence, arrest, and threats. They even fire upon the protesters and beat them. These acts go against Iraq's constitutional guarantee of freedom of assembly. So the security forces are pretty much going against the Constitution and being violent for the protesters. The women's rights. Many Iraqi women lose their husbands due to armed conflicts, and this is a huge financial burden on them. So once this happens, they become vulnerable to sex trafficking. In April 2012, the Parliament passed a anti-trafficking law to help reduce the trafficking. But many security officials and judges are unaware of this law and criminalize the victims of trafficking for prostitution. Now let's take a look at the infrastructure. Prior to the 1990s, they had one of the best infrastructures in the world. But years of conflict, looting, and sabotage has caused damage to the pipelines, buildings, and communication links. Due to a failing economy, there's not enough funds to maintain their infrastructure. Iraqis have limited access to essential basic needs, such as electricity, water, and proper sanitation. Central power is on for as little as 2 hours a day, and there are very few schools, no electricity, no real houses. And this one quote says they have to travel over 4 kilometers to get fresh water. That's not. Water is unclean. Nobody drinks the tap water that comes from the city because it's polluted. And many individuals have to rely on bottled water or water that comes from a factory that filters it. Contamination is caused by leaking of sewage and pipelines. It gets into the water and contaminates it. 16% of households report daily problems with water supply, and 20% use an unsafe drinking source. Now let's compare the U.S. to Iraq. In the U.S., we have a constitution set up that guarantees us our rights. Women have equal rights to men. We have freedom of assembly. And we have a great court system that is based upon you're innocent until proven guilty. Infrastructure. 99% of Americans have access to clean water. We have a reliable electricity source that runs 24/7. Sewage and plumbing is kept sanitary. School systems are set up to provide a quality education. And the government has enough money to keep up our infrastructure. Conclusion, Iraq is ranked one of the 8th most corrupted states in the world, and a lot of work needs to be done to fix it. It's not the only country in the Middle East like this. There's several others that are experiencing the same issues. After listening to this speech, I hope that you have a better appreciation of the country you live in that guarantees you all your freedoms and rights. And these are my sources, and thanks for watching.